first thing is just to calm your nerves. And because if you really think about it, like you have no reason to be nervous, right?
Right.
It's just a reaction. You're
And a
having.
bunch of parents in the same situation you're in.
Exactly. And they're all a lot of them are probably feeling the same way. And you go and then you're all like smiling at each other like this. But just to calm your nerves, to breathe and actually try and feel yourself for a moment. Feel like yourself for a moment while you're breathing, not Lucy's mom or the chauffeur, right? Putting on my party hat because I'm going to have to go play all these games now
Yeah.
for 3 hours, but just take a moment to try and feel like yourself.
Welcome to A Village in Progress. I'm your host, Alexis. Village in Progress is a weekly call between friends practicing meaningful connection in a world increasingly shaped by technology and AI. Each week, we'll share stories and insights from decades of friendship and explore the rituals and habits that have helped them thrive. We'll talk about the importance of the friendships we have and the ones we hope to build in the future. This is a space for honest talk and hopeful imagination about what it means to care, belong, and build community. I hope you'll join us because thriving villages aren't found. They are built intentionally together. Hey, it's Lex. Hope you're having a great day. Give me a call when you can. Bye. So today we are joined on the podcast by a dear friend and coach and mentor. I mean, I feel like you've been a lot of different things for me over the years, and really helped me navigate a lot of super big decisions that I've made, both personally and in my career. So MJ, welcome to the Village in Progress podcast. I'm so
And
excited you're here and that I get to see your face and interact with you because we don't often get to do that.
Yeah, I am so grateful that you asked me. I'm so happy to be here, and I just fully support you in whatever you do. And I'm just excited to actually have a long time to talk to you today.
Yeah,
Actually have a long time. And just so you know, I'm sitting on a stool, so I might swivel back and forth, but
that's okay. Me too, a little bit. So for our listeners, before we get started, is there anything you want them to know about you, a little bit about your background, if you want to share where you come into
so
this?
I'm on my second career. And what that means is that I've been a functional medicine health coach for a long time now. Um, but health coaching professionally for probably over 10 years now. Before that, before that and during some of that, I had a corporate career as well as an executive coaching career. So I kept the coaching part, but now it's a lot more personal, and a lot more personal lifestyle medicine oriented, if I can say that,
Yeah.
in one sitting. Um, and other than that, I think it's our values that's kept us connected and how we express those values about friendship. Um, and that I just want to stay connected to heart-centered people. And I think you're one of those.
Oh, thank you. That's very
Yeah.
sweet of you to say. I'm working on that. I really try to align with that. So that's nice of you to say. When we met, I was trying to think about it, and I think that you and I met somewhere around like 2013, 2014, something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Because I vividly remember that I got introduced to you and we had sort of an initial information gathering call. I was driving in my car in Culver City talking to you, and I lived in Culver City at the time, so that's kind of how I've been able to count the years back. I'm like, where was I living and what was I doing?
Because you were looking for a coach. So,
I
right.
was
You
looking
called
for a
me as a coach.
coach.
Yeah.
I was referred to you by somebody that I worked with. I had a real estate training coach, like a skill coach, but I was looking for somebody to help me sort of navigate life and business and how it all worked together. And so you were referred to me. And I remember that first initial call. When I got off the call, I just remember thinking, this woman really gets it. And she's super easy to talk to. I think she could really help me. And I think I would be really excited about talking to her. From then, our relationship just sort of evolved. And I don't know, do you call it like a life coach? I'm not even really sure, but you've been part of my village in the coaching and mentorship area for a very long time since then and
Yeah.
to today.
Here's what I remember about that call. So-and-so said I should call you, and I don't know, what do you do? Can you explain what you do? And how would that help me? I think I'm looking for something like this. Can you explain what you do?
That probably is what I said, because I think you helped. What I had heard was you helped people in a lot of different ways
Yeah, that's true. That's
and
fair.
sort of met them where they were at and helped them in a lot of ways. And I knew that I was very different than this other person. And so I was trying to gauge like, well, what would we work on or what would we do? But I left that call feeling like, well, I'm definitely going to sign up for this. Like, I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to move forward with this.
You reminded me so much of me when I was younger and your age at that time. And I was just like, wow, this woman is just like me. Because that's exactly how I would call somebody. And but it's really fair because and what's fair is like ask me what do you do? Because coaching has a lot of different doors you can use to open. And at that point, I was doing a lot of executive coaching and I was in leadership development and I was doing business coaching and career coaching. So all those things kind of fold into each other. Um, but the truth is, any kind of coaching you do, unless it's specifically like performance coaching for a company, any other kind of coaching you do generally um, goes into stress and generally goes into lifestyle choices
Mm-hmm.
and personal choices, because that's how we organize all of our thoughts about how we work. Um, so even though at that time, I was asking people to pay me to help you figure out these blocks like business and career and leadership and all those things, it's basically just the door to open to say, yeah, I'm gonna do something like this. And then generally what happens with the people who work with me is they just go to places they would never expect over time. Like, oh, what are we doing here? But okay.
Yeah. Well, so we've worked on a lot of things over the years, but in those initial meetings, with different assessments that you had me do, I, through you and I working together, I really learned a lot about myself. I went to deeper places learning about myself and have used those tools even today from back then when things get really hard or I feel like I'm stuck in the mud or I feel like I'm really energized and what do I do? Like any sort of emotion or any way I'm feeling, I can go back to those assessments and understand what I can lean on, what different character strengths I can lean on, what I can pull on, what I might need more of in that moment that I can sort of summon up and how to do that. And you really helped me. I probably was looking for like business as a whole, because I think in real estate, especially by yourself, I had like the skills training coach, but nobody really guiding me as far as like the overall holistic idea of my life and how this career fit into it. I was not expecting to learn so much about myself personally. And I think that really has stayed with me even to today because you gave me a lot of tools and a lot of understanding to help me in challenging times and to really understand myself and why maybe I have these grand ideas and then have a little bit of trouble getting to that finish line at the end, and who I can pull into my life to help me get there and who I can lean on and what types of people I am attracting and attracted to. So I think in those initial times where we were together coaching, you really brought me to a deeper understanding of myself, and that has really helped me in my journey over the last 10 plus years.
Well, you had a lot of context to apply that too, because you are a woman who has vision and you've always had vision. This is what I'm doing next. This is what I'm doing in 2 months. Here's my next vision.
And you always had to go with me because I would be here one day and then I talk to you, be like, I had this idea and I'm running here. And you were so good at bringing me back sometimes, but really sort of letting me play all those things out.
And we were able to use all the strengths, the different kinds of strengths that you found out about yourself, kind of how to be yourself in all of those different visions and directions. And I I got to witness you become stronger and stronger. And you know, I just have enjoyed getting to watch you blossom through. I
Thank you.
mean, I don't think you've ever stopped blossoming since I mean, I'm not saying because we worked together you started blossoming. I'm saying that from the point I've known you, I've never seen you stop blossoming.
And I think I made a lot of choices to surround myself with people who were big thinkers and could handle that. And so it did help. I feel like I've just been growing and growing and growing and growing, which is awesome. But your coaching gave me like a parameter to work with, to work within that helped me focus.
Framework.
The framework that really helped
Yeah.
me focus and flesh out ideas. And I mean, you know, I've brought other people in sometimes and come to you with the ideas and you're like, I don't, you know, well, let's play this out. What happens if you get down the road and this? And then, you know, we're like, oh yeah, that's not a good idea. We played that out and that won't work. But you really gave me the framework to have those visions and helped me connect with a very creative side of myself that I didn't really think was there, and identified those parts in me that allowed me permission sort of to lean into that creative side, which has been very exciting for me. So when I thought about this podcast and I thought about this season, bringing in my closest friends, I also thought it was super important to bring in the people, you know, our village is our friends and our family, but also made up of people who have supported us. And so that to me includes coaching. And coaching has been a huge part of my life since I was 30 years old. So for the last 12 years, coaching has been, I think, really fundamental in my awareness and my success and my just my overall being.
Well,
And so I thought, what?
You became a coach.
And then I became a coach. And then I became a coach. And then you and I had a different relationship. So I think, you know, yours and I's relationship has really evolved over the years, but those foundations of you really helping to get me to a place where I could understand myself better gave me more confidence to do those things, and really just understood when I did come up against a challenge, maybe why that was a challenge for me, like why these things aren't coming so easily and naturally to me, and then what I can lean on to get past them. And those things were huge in helping me get to every next level that I got to. So
I'm really honored to be a part of something that's had such a huge impact in your life.
yeah, well, I'm honored. And I think you and I always had a lot of trust and support. And I think I would always ask you, like, is this a therapy question or a coaching question? Should I take this to a therapist or not? Because I think, you know, the lines could get blurred, but you were always very professional and always kept it well within the coaching framework. And so I just wanted to maybe open the conversation up to coaching and to getting help in life and to leaning on others in a, you know, we can't take everything to our friends, and they're not always the best place to bounce everything off of. So sort of
Or
how
they
people
might not want to hear everything, right? Your friends don't
Yeah.
always want to hear everything.
you know, unless it's like really pertaining to them. Some people, it's just not, you know, as much as they care about you, not, you know, they just may not be interested in it the way you are. So I didn't know if maybe you could talk a little bit about coaching and the value you see in coaching and how that could affect people's lives, I think.
Yeah.
Or how that maybe is a foundational part of somebody's village, how it should be, how everybody should have. This is a PSA for everybody should have a coach, and coaches should have coaches. And because we really can't do it alone. We're not meant to go through this alone. And sometimes we do need outside help.
Definitely. I was actually thinking about this before I got on, and there's so many different answers, right? So many different responses. But I think that first, let me just say how the kind of coaching that you and I do is different from, let's say, an athletic coach.
Okay.
Because there's so many different kinds of coaches, and the word
Very
is
vague.
is thrown around and bantered around or whatnot. But so, I can't remember, were you an athlete when you were young?
I was a swimmer, but I wouldn't really call myself an athlete.
But you had a
No.
coach, right? You had a
I had a
swim
coach. I had a swim
Yeah.
coach. Yes.
Yeah. So, athletic coaches tell you what to do
Yes.
because only they can, they see you, that's their job. They're instructing you.
They're analyzing everything you're doing and
Right.
correcting it little by little.
Yeah, little by little. And also tells you, okay, you're ready for this next something.
Yes.
And when we're doing sports, we kind of depend on them, if they're good coaches, to tell us when we're ready for that next something.
Right.
So the kind of coaching you and I do isn't any of that,
No, none of that.
right? So within the coaching framework, we educate people. We may point out choices, but really what we're doing is eliciting your own insights about yourself and then building on those questions, building on those insights, building on your own wisdom for yourself. And that's why people feel strengthened by coaching, because I am strengthening truly what's in the not just the positive, but the strengths and just the blueprint of who you are.
Yeah.
But I don't tell you who you are, right?
Right.
I might have you help discover it through some of those assessments that we talked about. But then coaching is really about learning to ask the right questions. And not because you have a script of questions. When you're a very beginner coach, you probably do have questions written out. So in case you go blank, because that's always the fear when you're just starting.
Right.
But you develop an intuition about what's the next right question that will help this person. So help what, right? It's like,
Right.
what is coaching about? At the kernel of it, my belief is that coaching is helping people get through or go around their own resistance.
Okay.
Because we, as humans, we have barriers, mental barriers, emotional barriers, energetic barriers to change. We crave change and we resist change at the same time.
Right, because our brains will tell us, "Oh, don't do that. Just stay here where you're at, where it's comfortable."
So in brain science, our amygdala, the fear center, fear is not bad. Fear is useful when it's applying to something that we should be cautious about. But what happens when that nudge to change, whether it is external or internal, even when we desire it, we start resisting it already, because that part of our brain is meant to keep us safe
Right.
from danger. So in my coaching, what I help people do is shift into their whole brain, what I call their whole brain, or frontal lobes, or executive functioning, all that kind of stuff. But to shift that and also shift into I'll just call it their body brain, right? There's other brain centers in our bodies that help us think more wholly and help us not always walk through our resistance, but get around our own resistance so
Right.
that we can create change. Whether that change is in your career, whether it's changes you need to make with a client, whether it's changes that somebody needs to make in their sales strategy or their health strategy, weight loss strategy, food strategy, it's all just change.
Right.
And so that's how I can take what I do and apply it to just about anything I know about. I can't apply it to, you know, um, I don't know, aerospace, because I
Right.
don't know anything about aerospace. You do have to know something about the
Right.
background. And coaching isn't just for if you're feeling broken, it's actually not for that at all. If you feel like, but it is if you feel stuck or blocked, or just if you're like, hey, I'm not blocked at all, but I need a framework to optimize my life, to
Right.
optimize where I'm going. Then it becomes a track to self-actualization.
And I think that's where I met you. I had a pretty successful business at the time and was doing well on the team and had just bought my
Doing very
first
well.
condo. Yeah. And I had just bought my first place and I was looking to optimize what I was doing. I was looking for somebody to help me think bigger, take it to the next level, to really sort of get me to push myself to grow and to keep doing that.
Need anybody to push.
I do. I don't know. I think my motivation has always just been to keep growing. When I started in real estate, that's when I really was introduced to the idea of coaching and big thinking and the power of your words and how powerful what you say and how you say it and what you say to yourself is. I had never really been exposed to that before. I think I had something innately in me, and that just sort of revved it all up and gave me a really good outlet for it, to explore all those things. And when I met you, I was looking to sort of level up, and I needed help getting to that and working with my life as a whole. Like I had this part that was going well, but I needed help there. I needed the framework and some guidance. I've been on a journey with you to really find my alignment as who I am, to really come to a deep understanding of that and what I value. And you've really helped me over the years articulate my thoughts in a way that can be delivered to other people, from my head to where people can share in my thoughts. You've really helped me articulate that. So
Both
I
in
don't
a
think,
professional setting, because I remember you were working on a lot of presentations at one point early on,
yes.
to your husband, to
Yes.
your friends.
And my family.
Uh,
I mean, you've
yeah.
really helped me. I think one of the things that I learned from you and also in coaching was and you were really good at this even with me, was just meeting people where they were at. And that really allowed me to work through expectations I had of different people and how I would want them to show up. And you've really helped me even with language and communicating with my family, and um, how to, I can be very direct and very blunt, and that's not for
I can
everybody.
too, actually. That's why I appreciate that in you.
And some people really get it. And I think if you get it, you're like, yes. And then other people are like, whoa,
I
mainly
know,
my
too much.
family.
Too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have really helped me to find a comfortable middle ground for me where I feel like I am still myself. Maybe you helped me grow that sort of like empathy, or I'm not really sure, but you definitely helped me find a place where I could still be authentically me, but I also could let them be authentically them, and we could like coexist. And that has been incredibly helpful in dealing with my friendships and my family.
It had a lot to do with your intention, because your intention was to show love. Your
Yeah.
intention is to make space for the other person and to not push them away. And you know how I just said, oh, you have to know something, a little bit about something about what you're coaching? Well, I'm really direct, like you. My nature is really direct. And I've had a lot of, especially when I was younger, and still today, like sometimes I can be myself on steroids still. And when I get excited or when I don't know, in different situations, but I've had to develop a sense for when I'm inadvertently pushing people away, you know,
Yeah.
even though a lot of times when we have that energy, we actually want them to come closer.
We're
right?
trying
Like
to draw them in.
our desire is to
Yeah,
come is like, oh, I'm putting myself out there. I want you to come closer. But
right.
when you have that amount of energy, a lot of people are accustomed to it and have to go away.
Yeah, I'm like leaning in and everyone is, leaning back.
Yeah. But that's why when you could come, with all of your different ideas and all of when you had big energy, I mean, when your energy was really invested in these big ideas, and, it doesn't scare me, or I didn't never try to say, oh, like, bring yourself in or anything like that, because that's not how you deal with that. I wanted you to be able to make a space for that, but in a way that people would be drawn to you.
Yeah. And I
And
think when you talk about the intention, I mean, you would guide me through that by your questions to help me be more clear about what my intention was so that I could make sure that that was coming across to people. And so, I think it is all the things that we have worked on and things that I have learned about myself have been through a lot of just us, you asking me questions and me answering them and saying them out loud, and then realizing, oh, okay, well, that's what it is. Or, you'll say, like, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Or if we do a guided meditation, where are you feeling this? And really allow me to be present in my own thoughts and hear them is super helpful for me. In, you know, especially I've found it very applicable in my relationships with other people, because it's really helped me understand myself and then how I can relate to other people and how they may see me, or how that may be received by them.
well, and that's become much more the epicenter of your life since you've had your family,
Right.
right? Those relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I'm working to, every day grow into a role model for my daughter and try to emulate those things, I think part of also why I wanted to start this podcast was I want to be connected to my friends and family. I want to have strong relationships. I want to show her by me being engaged in them that, they're important to have in your life and that you have to put a lot of time and energy and thought into them. um, and I'm working every day to be a calm, like, port for her when, her life will inevitably get chaotic and she'll have this and that, to know she can come home and this is a safe, very grounded place for her to
That's beautiful.
express everything. So I feel like that's the journey I'm on now. I feel, when I was kind of entering back into work, you've helped me in so many different ways. But over the last few years, you've really helped me navigate building up a business and then sort of taking time off from that business and then rediscovering myself again, which was way more challenging than I thought it was going to be. I thought for sure my brain would just pick up and be exactly the same. And it just wasn't. It wasn't there. And so you and I spent a lot of time talking about who I was now, who I had become, and what was important to me and my values. And I feel like all that work really led to this. And my husband and I were going to do something and that got put on the back burner, and almost instantly this idea popped up for me.
I love this idea. I
And
love it.
it just aligned. It felt like it was very authentic to when I think about the person I want to be and when I think about who that is, that it was very much in alignment with that.
Yeah. I love it. There was a question. So you sent me an outline, and then we kind of talked about the outline, then we kind of scrapped the outline. But I went and I thought, well, I'm going to read this outline again, just in case she brings this up. And one of the things you talked about in the outline was, what are your different communities and whatnot. And it got me thinking about friendships and how I look at my communities now differently than I did before COVID. So
Oh,
before 5 years ago. And it, I think, and not just because of COVID, but since then, the growing AI now,
yeah.
so we have so much social media and then the growing AI. And I love how you're fostering one-to-one or just genuine, authentic, real connection and not connection, which is, kind of come to be looked at like, oh, I'm following you, so I'm
Right.
connected to you.
So I see everything that's going on with you.
Right. So I see what's going on with you. Or, this AI thing makes it easier for me to know these things about you, and that's connection. That is information, right? But when I read about what you're doing with your podcast, I was like, that's real connection. I love it.
I've had a few conversations with my friends now in recording this. And the thing that is, so first of all, I was incredibly humbled when I called everybody. I called them on the phone, my old phone, and I called them, and some of them I hadn't spoken to in a little while. Some of them are friends that I speak to all the time, and some are ones that we text here and there, but we haven't spoken on the phone in a while. So I called them all. They all answered. And when I ran through this idea, they were all incredibly supportive. And I think in my back of my head, I thought they'd be excited, they'd say yes, but they were all very excited and mostly just to support me, which I thought, was just very humbling and a very warm feeling that came over me for that. And as I've been having the conversations with them and getting to see their face or having them in my home, the amount of joy that comes over my day when these conversations are over, and just when you see someone's face, I think and you can watch them laugh, and you can share a story that is funny to the both of you and you're laughing, you just realize how much you miss that connection. And it really has brought me, like, when they're done recording, my joy meter is like off the charts, because I had that connection.
It's connection, and it's something real. I don't know. I can't speak for your other friends, but I know more than ever, I hunger for things that are real.
Yes.
With our political climate, our world climate, our tech climate, I just want something that's real.
Well, and that's I listen to a lot of podcasts, and then I go and read the articles that they talk about, and I'm reading, and my husband, we have a business that's also in AI. And so, we're always looking at how we can be working on the challenges instead of being part of what's creating the challenges.
Right.
I tell him, like, if you're going to be in this, then we need to be on the right side of this. And we need to be working through really responsible usages for this and combating challenges. And we need to be on the responsible end for me to feel good about having a family business that's involved in that.
Absolutely. I'm not against AI. I'm actually taking a really deep dive course in it right now with Mindvalley. And so I'm like, want to accept it, embrace it, leverage it like everybody else.
But know about it.
Know about it and be responsible. And like, it's the first time I really understood what AI hallucination is.
Yeah.
All of that and how to lead it. And it's interesting. It takes real leadership skills to lead your AI just as much as it takes leadership skills to lead your employees.
Yes, you have to be very clear.
All of that.
Yeah.
All the context you build in leadership with mission, vision, values, context, what to be, what not to be, all of those things. So at the same time, there's a lot of buzz out there about how AI can just take over, but it's just not there, because I realized, if we have to give AI all of this, it's not where we think it is.
Yeah.
Because this is a lot of hard work.
It's a lot. But I think, there will always be people that unfortunately exploit it and do things. And I think we just have to I think it's an amazing tool. I've seen it improve, I've seen it cut hours and hours and hours off of time, people's valuable time. I think it's great. But I think we do have to be aware of the downsides of it, and we have to be responsible. And from everything I was reading and listening to from the people who were creating the AI that were like, sort of like, there's people that are like, have created it, and then they're like sounding the alarm. They're like, it could get out of control. We have no idea.
Duh.
And yeah, in the wrong hands. Well, I think we might have some bad hands out there. So you just have to be prepared, right? But the one thing that everybody said to arm yourself, to try to be as, not untouched by it, but to safeguard yourself as best as possible from any chaos that could come, was to be really good at strengthening your relationships, to have very strong friendships and support systems. Because if let's say, 2030, all the jobs are gone and people don't have work, well, they're going to need their support system. People are going to need community. And I'm not saying that will happen, but if it does, I thought, well, if what they're saying is we need community, then that's something that I personally can try to take stock of, is building up my own community.
Well, Alexis, we're at a time in history where people are lonelier than ever.
I know.
Right?
And I mean, I just read that like
the UK has a minister of loneliness. You know that, right?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No.
So they actually it was sometime either during the pandemic or the year after the pandemic or something like that. So 2021 or something, they appointed a minister of loneliness in the UK. From the head of government.
It's sad. And I mean, people, I think since COVID did a lot. I think since COVID, and then with this, people have had more chance to isolate themselves. It's just become that way. I mean, I read an article where like teenagers were having relationships with AI, with like their chat, with ChatGPT. I didn't have any of that growing up. We had to go out, make our own fun. We didn't even have like Instagram or Facebook till I graduated college. So I went through like which I love. Now I love, because I just, for as much good as it does, I think it has, taken away some responsibility for us to be bored and to figure out what to do in that boredom, and to call our friends and to be social and just show up at someone's house. I mean, honestly, I door knocked for years at real estate, but someone knocks on my door now and I'm like, who is it? What are you doing here? Go away. I'm not home. Don't rob me.
Like, why is somebody coming to my door?
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing?
When I was growing up, you always had something that you would give guests if they just happened to appear. Like, so you would have some baked good. You would keep something that the kids could not eat. You would keep something at the house that, that your parents would yell at you if you tried to eat it, because that was for guests if they came out of the blue. And now it's just like,
now we're like, don't go. Text me and see if I'm home before you just show up. But in college, we used to just pop. I loved it when friends would just like pop by your apartment. I mean, we're not doing the pop bys anymore. No one's just driving up to your house to say hi. I have read that generations younger than me are really into FaceTiming now. So at least seeing your face and not texting and talking. So I feel like there might be hope for the future, that some of this is like gone so far the other end that maybe the pendulum will swing.
My youngest daughter, who's 30, she won't even text anymore. She just calls, and if you don't pick up, she doesn't text you.
I think that's awesome.
I don't know if that's a generational thing. Yeah, I know. I was like, and so she retrained me to call her, because I would like text her and be like, why is it taking her so long to text me? And she'll say, I don't text. She goes, if you want me, call me. And she had to retrain me.
Oh my gosh.
And so now if I really want to talk to her, I'll call her. And she'll, like, a lot of times, she can't pick up right then, but she'll call me as soon as she can. Like, I was like, wow, how old fashioned.
Can you imagine the day where we had to wait for someone to call us back without a text saying they will call us back in 5 minutes? We just had to wait.
I remember the days where there was no voicemail. You had to rush home if you're expecting a call from a guy or something.
Sometimes I wish we could go back to just a simpler time. The other thing that came up a lot when I was talking to my friends was how much we used to, in like after college and in college, we would go out to dinner and we would share meals and we would talk for hours and we would drink and we would hang out. And that would be
Yeah.
like our pregame, like, or
And
whatever we were
eat off
doing the
each
rest of the
other's
night.
plates. Yeah.
Yes, but we would spend hours, no phones, just looking at each other's faces, talking, hanging out, enjoying good food. And, you know, now even when I see people out to dinner, everyone has their phone on the table. They're all, you know, and I just, I think I am like nostalgic for those times where we can just all sit around a table and just share good company with each other.
You know, this reminds me of a conversation I had with somebody who's younger than both of us. And I always assume women talk, right? Just like you were talking,
Yeah.
like that's what females do. We get together and we talk about everything about life, and we, if I can say bitch,
Yeah.
and we like cry and we say all the great things and we do all these things. Well, so I'm talking to a young woman and I was like, well, how do you connect with your friends? And she was like, what do you mean? And I asked her a few other questions, and I literally came to the understanding that she doesn't know how to have that kind of friendship with another woman, with another. That's how women have existed together from
Yeah.
a long
What it
time.
like sewing circles and book clubs and like all these things where people just got together to gab
Well, in
for
ancient
hours.
times, I'm watching Ancient Apocalypse right now on Netflix. So
Ooh.
thinking about ancient times a lot. But in ancient times, you know, women ran the village together, you know, and
Yeah.
they had their own societies and they did all that. But I just thought, wow, how will a society survive if it has whole generations uh of women who don't know how to connect with one another?
We have to
I,
bring that back. We
I
have
think that's
to
scary.
expose them, like exposure therapy. We need dinner parties. We need
Yeah.
dinner party exposure therapy. We need something. We need to invite the younger generations back to sitting down for dinner. There's actually a really cool co-op in Venice that me and Josh and Amber, like we used to go to all the time, called Food Shop. I wonder if they would do like an event for just, I mean, they do it all the time. They have these big communal dinners. You bring your own like wine if you want, and the food's delicious. And everyone just sits at one long row table and you just meet whoever is sitting next to you and get to talk. And I mean, me and my friends up
Some version
until,
of speed dating.
yeah, kind of just like friends, but you're sitting there and you're
Yeah.
just in this cool space. And that's probably, I mean, me and Josh and Amber, when I first met Lee, that was his first experience meeting all my friends. I was like, we're going to Food Shop. And so we went there and he was like, wow, whoa, this is like, you know, but it was such a cool experience. I just feel like I don't really get a chance to do that often, sit with my friends for hours and just talk and hang out without worrying about having to get back or do something. And
You haven't quit doing it, right? I mean, you don't get to do it at length like that.
yeah, I didn't
But you
quit
haven't
it, but
quit doing it.
I don't do it as much, and I don't do it as much in a bigger group.
Right. Well, it's harder when you have young children and a young family.
Yeah.
There's a period of time that's harder, and that's like the reverse of what cultures used to be. You know, it's when you have the young family that you need the most support.
Right.
And, you know, so it's like topsy-turvy, it's opposite, but
Yeah, I feel like a lot of
um
young families just feel like they have no village, like they have nobody, and they're doing
right.
it like all on their own. And this idea of community is just sort of fallen off.
Well, yeah, and it started decades ago. It's not
Yeah.
recent. It's been a slow roll until it's a big roll. And you know, another point I wanted to make is that, or just ask you, don't you feel that your girlfriends are such a part of keeping you sane?
Yes, they are.
You
I mean,
know?
they are people that I can call and sort of vent to about anything. And usually we just say, I don't need you to say anything, but I just need to tell you this happened. And I'm feeling about it.
Right? Yeah. Just 1 minute. I'm gonna go blah for
Yeah.
1 minute and then that'll be over, I promise.
Yeah. And, you know, one of
Yeah.
my friends, we started doing girls' trips, and that has been really just, you know, a lot of my friends are on the East Coast, and so I don't get to see them in person and hug them and laugh with them and do all that. And especially with kids, you can barely talk on the phone because then the kids grab the phone. So, you know, to have that time where that is uninterrupted. My friends, male and female, in my life I'm going to say since I was about 28 years old, 27, 27, have been pivotal in my mental health. There, you know, it was a block of time where my dad passed away that my immediate family just was not super helpful to me. And I really relied on my friendships as my family. I really, you know, I don't have a ton of friends, but the ones I have are like my family, are like the
Your chosen
family that I
family.
chose.
Yeah.
And I have really leaned on them and been okay leaning on them. I was lucky enough to find friends and build a bond that we could each be vulnerable with each other. So when those really hard times hit, we could sort of just collapse on each other.
Where do you find your friends, Alexis?
These friends I found at work. I found them at work and we hit it off. And I think, especially being, you know, when I was in my early 30s, when I started real estate, that was like all I had time for. I mean, I threw myself into that. And I was very lucky to work with people where a few of them I was able to build these like very strong bonds with. They became like my family. And so when times got tough and I couldn't rely on my family, or my family was the trigger for you know, for it, they really became my everything. And
How old is Lucy?
she's 4 now.
Okay.
4 going on like 13.
Like her mother.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where she gets it. She just talks and talks and talks, sings.
You're in this in-between period. Sometimes when you have especially your first young child, before they start school, so you have all these years that it's kind of more isolating because you're not with as many people. But
Yeah.
once you start school, you're going to have so many things to join. There's going to be so many opportunities for different communities. Plus,
Yeah.
you'll be able to go to the gym and work out again.
Right.
You'll
Well,
be
I
able to
just
go to
started that.
places.
It
You'll be
really
able to go
took
to
me
places.
4 years. Just this last year, she started going every day to like her TK, like whatever they're calling it these days. And it's given me a lot more time. And in fact, the other day she called me and said, she didn't call me. When I picked her up, they were about to take them outside again because I pick her up at the same time every day. And she was like, "Can you just leave me here longer so I can play and then come back? You can wait in the car." That's what she said to me. "You can wait in the car."
Yep.
I said, "Okay." So, you know, which is great. She's loving it. When she started going back to school, it gave me a lot more time. But then I thought, what do I do with this time? And what am I
Yeah.
doing? And so now that she's like in it full time, I feel like I'm getting myself back. There is going to come a point, I think 2026 will be my year to maybe meet like one new friend, or I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you also,
no.
you have to put a lot of effort into that and to build those connections and to
And you
find
have
those
to
people.
decide. You have to decide. Well, like when
Right.
you're an adult, and especially when you have family, you have to decide to make a friendship.
Right. My
And then
light
you
has
have,
not been on. I have not been,
yeah,
even if someone was trying to be my friend, I don't think that I even saw
right.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be hard and lonely and great and all kinds of mixed of things. But um my oldest daughter, she has 2 sons. They are 9 and 5, so they're 4 years apart. But she's just getting to the point because of the 5-year-old. She had to stay home again for the younger one.
Yeah.
That she's getting to the point where she's meeting people that she can become friends with.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably like a year out from that.
But like at my age too, and I think actually so then you have all these years where your kids are going to school and you have these structured communities and these places that you pretty much have to go to.
Yeah. A lot of
Even
birthday
those nice,
parties, a lot of
yeah,
things.
all the things you have to go to, some things you want to, some things you don't, but you're going to be out amongst people all the time.
Yep.
And then when they go away and you're just working, you're like, oh wow, I have to make community. Like I have to decide that I'm going to not just go to these places, but that I'm actually going to be open to talk to people
Right.
and actually create connections. And it is possible. Like I've done that, but I remembered having to go, okay, like
You
every
have to
time it's a
flex the
real
muscle
decision.
again.
Yeah, it's a real decision every
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
So how would I do that? So, I'm going to all these events. I have found a few like moms that I think are cool that seem to get me that we can hang out and our kids,
Aren't
at the
afraid of you
birthday
and don't go
parties.
away.
Yeah. Um but I don't know how do you've always been really good with language and sort of helping people craft different conversation starters. And I'm never one for like surface chit chat. I don't love it. I don't love like the how's the weather, the chit chat.
Tell me
I'm
about
like,
your cocktail.
yeah,
Nobody says that. I don't even know where that came from. Nobody says that.
maybe I could. Maybe then I find my people. I just find people. Who are you? Are you
My people.
meditating these days? What are you? What are you doing?
Yeah. Remember that period that a lot of us went through where like you were supposed to find your tribe
Yes.
and everybody was talking about tribe.
Yes.
I think the assumption of that period of time was if you found your tribe, you would automatically belong. And because we have a deep need for belonging to something or someone or somewhere, that it would be easy. But I don't think that's the entire truth. I think, especially when you're in periods of your life where you're all very busy, because a lot of the people that you meet are all going to be very busy with families and jobs and communities and all of that, that friendships are made differently. Like when we were kids, we could just go up to people and say, hey, you want to play?
Yeah.
And then we would be friends. And when you're in college, you're all new to something together.
Right.
And you're in between real life and there's things that bind you. But when you have a younger family, I remember there's a lot of things you have in common with people, but it's not as binding because you're also busy
Right.
and tired.
Yes. Yeah. You're tired and you're
I'm really
busy.
tired. So it's being okay with trying, being number one, like anything, be curious.
Mhm.
And try to get curious outside of who's your daughter, who's your son, what do they like to do? Can we have a play date?
Right.
Right. But like try and muster up enough energy because a lot of it has to do with energy, available energy to be curious of them as a person, which makes them go, oh yeah, I am a person. Right. I
Oh, let me
forgot
get
for a
that part of
moment.
my brain working.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not just Lucy's mom. I mean, when I grew up, my like my oldest daughter's friends, they just knew me as Marcella's mom, right? And so even their parents would call me Marcella's mom, right? So remembering and trying to summon the energy to be curious. And then when you find a little bit of friend, possible kismet, being more intentional about talking to that person and allowing it to grow slow.
Yeah.
Because what used to take a day, right? When you're in college, maybe takes a couple weeks. When you're working, takes a few months. And when you're a parent, it can take a year to really develop a friendship with somebody.
Yeah. Well, because there's like one mom in particular who we always are at the birthday parties together, and our kids are in the same class, and she always makes a point to like say my name and do things so I know, and
She's doing
um,
that.
yeah, and but we've been to maybe like four birthday parties or something like that. But then I'm like not ready to take it to the take
Right.
it to any
The
next
next level.
yeah, whatever that means.
Right.
Not ready for that. And our kids, we're redoing our backyard. So I think once that's done, I'll have a place to invite people to our house, like a small group, maybe of her friends, just to maybe open
Yeah.
that door a little bit
Well,
for a play date.
yeah, you open the door, but then you have to decide, like how much of myself am I going to show
Right.
with
Because
who?
I also take a pretty long time to warm up. I'm very open once you know me, but I never knew this, but like Lee, I think I can put up a
It just
barrier.
it's not so much a barrier. I experience you as a little just reserved, and
Yeah.
that's okay
I think I'm
because
taking it all in.
yeah, you're observing. You're observing before you decide that you're going to put it all out there,
Yeah. But it
which
can
is not
be,
unwise.
yeah, but it can be perceived as cold, I think, because my
Yeah.
facial expressions also are, I make a lot of faces, so I have to
Mhm,
be
I
very
know.
careful that I am not sending out like, major standoffish vibes from my face.
That's funny. I have a friend who, once she gets to know you, she's like her regular self, but she's trained herself to, you know, okay, we all have these, but like sometimes we go to a situation and we're discerning and judging everything, like trying to figure out what's going on. And, but she's just got this wonderful smile during that whole time. And that, but I've gotten to know her enough to know that when she has that smile on, it doesn't necessarily mean
She's
it's
just
good.
taking in, she's researching. She's like
She's
taking it in.
researching.
Maybe I need something
Yeah.
like that. I need to develop I mean, I think I am friendly. Coaching has made me a much more empathetic and friendlier and kinder person. I will say. I
You are,
think
you're friendly.
so,
Fine.
I think I am, but I think that when I was only doing real estate, I was so in a business mode and
Yeah.
I took that very seriously. And I think that once I left that part of the
Production level,
career,
your production level.
yeah, my production level, once I left that and dug into coaching and let myself not be the expert anymore and really be the student and go through that coaching program and really learn that, it took some weight off me that I was able to really just sort of like sink into it. And working through the coaching program really helped me again understand how to sort of meet people where they were at and just get curious about asking questions about people, and not have to be that. I
Yeah.
think I felt like I had to be the expert on everything in real estate, and that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, people feel a lot of pressure with that. I want to ask you because we say this a lot, but I don't think it's like just this term. But what does it mean to you when you say meet somebody where they're at? What does that mean?
So for me, that means I am no longer looking for an outcome or a result from anybody. I'm really just trying to understand where they're at in their life, in their journey, with their toolbox that they have, in their capability, without any expectation. I'm really just listening to them to find out who they are and what's important to them right then, without any attachment to the outcome.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
It does to me, but I'm a coach.
Well, I feel like in sales, right? You are constantly trying to have a conversation in not a manipulative way, but in a way that will guide somebody to a certain
So
end result.
Yeah.
To an outcome. And I was trained so heavily for years in those types of conversations that to not care if someone was going to buy this house or not buy this house or accept this credit, whatever, and just to be able to be present in a conversation with them was like just a different experience for me. And it allowed me to just hear and listen to what people were saying versus listening and then already knowing what I was going to say back to that response.
And you become more successful when you're able to be present with somebody like that.
Well, because you can listen. I think towards the end of real estate is when they really started, my real estate career was when they really started to take on what they called like tactical empathy or social emotional intelligence. And
Tactical empathy.
tactical empathy. And so I think,
Oh my gosh.
which is salesy in and of itself too. But I think that being able to listen to what people's real concerns and fears are so that you can, address those or work with those. I took that into even my family and just listening to what they were saying instead of what I wanted them to say. Or, some of my friends have made choices that I wouldn't make in my life, but it's not my life. And my role as their friend is to want them to be safe, but is really to support them where they're at in their journey, because we're all at different places in our journeys. We're not all going to get there at the same time, and we're not all going to get to the same place in the end. And that's okay. And to really celebrate each person's point in their journey has, I think, allowed me to be a better friend and to remove that judgment, which,
Yeah.
because it's,
It's about who they are,
right,
not what they've accomplished, or not what they have.
right, right. So I don't know. That's what I mean when I say meet people where they're at, is just,
I was just curious.
yeah. So if I want to, because you've also been really good at this, before I go to like a little kid birthday party, or I go somewhere where I've decided that I'm going to actively participate in, finding friends or being open to having a more in-depth conversation, is there a way I can sort of prep myself, or breathing, or something I can do before I go so I can get myself into that headspace where I really am ready to receive and to give, that in those moments?
So I think you're asking about prepping before you go to the little kid birthday.
Yeah, like Lucy's dressed, she's downstairs. I'm finishing, I'm getting ready. I can take like a few moments to myself before we all get in the car.
Well, then you're lucky. Get a few moments to yourself.
I'm locking myself in the bathroom.
I was gonna say you're
I'm
hiding in the
pretending
bathroom.
I'm going to the bathroom.
That means you're hiding in the bathroom. Yeah. I think one, doing some deep breathing, and I'm not even saying use a technique, just trying to slow your breath down. Because sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I would get nervous going to, taking my daughter to her party, because I either didn't know very many people, or I just didn't know who's going to be there, or I had to talk to people that I wasn't very familiar with, and I would get nervous. So the first thing is just to calm your nerves, because if you really think about it, like, you have no reason to be nervous, right? It's just
Right.
It's just a reaction you're
And a
having.
bunch of parents in the same situation you're in.
Exactly, and they're all a lot of them are probably feeling the same way, and you go, and then you're all like smiling at each other like this. But just to calm your nerves, to breathe, and actually try and feel yourself for a moment. Feel like yourself for a moment while you're breathing, not Lucy's mom or the chauffeur,
Right.
right? Or, oh, putting on my party hat because I'm going to have to go play all these games now
Yeah.
for 3 hours. But just take a moment to try and feel like yourself. I think those moments are gem moments when you're having, whether you have a little, a small child, or you have 3 teenagers. I mean, calming yourself and feeling like yourself for a few moments a day is really necessary to your sanity, and will actually help you treat other people better,
Yeah.
right? So just breathing, trying to feel like yourself for a few moments, and then when you go out with an intention. When before I came on the podcast, I did my own little intention prayer, and which usually for me involves the highest and best for all that's involved, but I may have a specific intention for myself and how I want to show up. And it's not like a fake, like, oh, I'm gonna show up and be this. No, it's really about connecting to yourself and an intention that will help you not only endure, but feel stronger and feel more positive when you're in the situation.
Okay. I was thinking too, you had helped me with a mantra that I've used forever. You've helped me with a few things, and I say them every day. And one of them just was, I am. And then I complete that with whatever I feel like I need. So in that moment, I was thinking I could just remind myself, like, I am Alexis. I am, just even remind myself while I'm breathing that, I am my own person, and, I am interesting, or I am this, or, you know, just
I
to
am a whole
remind I
person.
am a whole person all by myself, just something. Because I say that mantra a lot when I am feeling different ways, like, I'm either brave or strong or healthy, or, whatever it is that I need to just breathe and remind myself of. So I think
And get
that
in touch with,
to
get in
get in
touch
touch
with that
with.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing I do, which if you are feeling a little bit of anxiety or you are feeling a little nervous, when we go to these things, I do this every night before I go to bed, but I say, like, Lucy is healthy and safe, or safe and healthy and loved, or whatever those are. And I just name myself and whatever it is that I need to remind myself of in that moment to
Mhm.
feel at peace, to fall asleep. I use it at night just as
Yeah.
a piece to fall asleep. But, I think if you were feeling a little anxious about going out, just to take those moments to breathe and remind yourself that, you're safe and you are a whole person, or you're loved, or you are, um, you know, whatever
Yeah.
you need to think about.
I like that you use the I am tool. I'll just call it a tool. The I am tool because you're focusing on what you can control,
Right.
right? Instead of all is or other people are or the party will be or you can't control those things. But your brain can wrap itself around and you'll feel differently about saying I am and something that you feel like is in your own control.
Yes. I th- I think I've used that, and you and I have worked for years on building up sort of a built on me working to build up my spiritual practice. I feel like that's in the background of everything that we always work on. Is, I have these ideas and I have all these things, and at the same time I'm really looking to ground myself in something and have a way to center myself and do that. And so those things have really helped, and the breathing, and maybe 2026 is my year for meditation. I just that has gotten away from me almost every year, just that constant breath work, and like being very present consistently.
You put yourself in a very um, tough training ground for that.
Yeah.
I've never heard a mother who's has a toddler or, a young child say, I feel so present all the time.
Well, at her school they have a peace area.
Yeah.
And so when the kids are feeling overwhelmed, they have this area they can go to and listen to classical music, or they have a yoga mat, or they have instruments,
I
or they
love
have
that.
just soft, like stuffy things. So whatever they're feeling they need, if it's too loud or they're feeling too stimulated, they can go to this area and self-regulate. And so my daughter, they also practice like breathing. So she'll come home and she'll be like, Mom, we have to sit crisscross applesauce, and we have to put our hands on our knees and take deep breaths. So my husband and I have actually been thinking about creating a peace area in our house for us,
Yeah,
for any three of us to use
I love it. I
when we
love that
need a
actually.
place to kind of just be alone, that they're in that area. So just leave them alone,
Yeah.
um,
I
as a
I
way to
love
do
that.
that. But I think that, I don't know how we got on the topic of that, but I think that's been something that I have used a lot, that you taught me pretty early on, that one of the other things that I use every day. actually, almost every day.
Oh, that's great. And I love that. I remember my oldest grandson, like in kindergarten, they were doing yoga, and he would come and he would stand in front of me and he would, where you pull up one leg
Oh
and then
yeah,
you
the
do
tree
this.
pose. Yeah.
You do it. I'm like, it's like yoga time
Yeah. It's like,
when he
oh,
was like
great.
5.
Yeah.
I know it's great, but you know, so yeah, it's not it's not easy to be present and always meditating every day, from year 0 to 5 or 6 or whatnot. What I learned during that period, especially with my first child, is how to not be focused on me,
Yeah.
right? It's like, I mean, for me, I'm an only child. So it was a huge growth for me to never think of myself. And I'm a better person for it,
Yeah.
you know, if, but it was a whole, those early years, it was a whole study of how to be there for somebody else. And even during the times you're crying because you have to do it and you just don't think you can do it, especially when you're sick, you know, all of those times. But it is a real study of concentrated study for me of how do you go for hours and days and maybe weeks without thinking of yourself.
Yeah.
And that has value too.
Yeah. It does. It definitely, I mean, I think understanding, right, that it's not about you and how everybody fits together and everybody's pieces are important in the puzzle and that it's not about you. But then you have to find yourself again. It's not, you
Exactly.
have to find yourself again.
You do. You do.
Um,
But yeah, then you have a good reason to, right?
right. Because you're like, well, I have forgotten about it for a while. And now, yeah, now I need to see how I fit into all of this.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I think all of those things have really helped me. And I have not set an intention before going to any of these birthday parties or school events. And she's going to be at this school another year. So that's, more time to potentially meet or spend more time with the people that I've already met there. But setting an intention for myself when I'm ready to, what would my intention be? I think at first it would just be maybe to show up as myself, because I think I'd want to see who was attracted to that, like who gravitated towards that.
Would you want to show up not as yourself?
No, I'd never want to show up not as myself, but I think if I was intentionally told myself that you're going to show up as your authentic self, maybe I would allow myself to share more with people than just keep it surface. Because pretty much I keep it surface unless we start cracking up about something, or, I mean,
Right.
yeah, I'd say I'm not myself, but I'm not offering up additional information.
Well, and here's the thing. Okay, this is my trick. Do you want my trick?
Yes, always want your
Okay.
tricks.
Is to hold it when you're doing something new like that, hold it lightly. Don't take it seriously. Just hold it lightly and experiment. And like, oh, that was a good experiment today, or wow, that experiment went awry today. Good thing it was just an experiment.
Right. Oh, that's a good perspective to have. Okay. I'm going to think about that. I often listen to this podcast and they have these conversation cards that they put out, and I bought them, and I had planned to use them for future episodes where I would talk to my family as just a way to sort of break the ice for people that maybe needed the ice broken to kind of loosen up and get talking. But I found some really good questions in there. So I've kind of been asking them of my friends. So I found a few that I thought when I looked at them, I thought these feel like MJ questions. So I'm going to ask you a few of them.
Okay.
Okay. So the first one is, when do you feel most emotionally connected to yourself?
When I'm doing something I really enjoy Um, when I'm challenging myself to learn a new skill, when I'm just like if I'm going through something tough, when I just accept how I really feel.
That's a good one. Okay. The next question is, I thought you would like this one. What's your favorite sound?
Can I have two?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. One, I love really beautiful wind chimes.
Oh,
Um, and I think that's connected to my mother, actually. I grew up listening to wind chimes. She loved wind chimes. And then two, I love a really great choir,
ooh.
like a cappella kind of choirs that just harmonize in a way that sends me to heaven, you know?
Isn't music so powerful? I think music, and when you can appreciate how that music came together, it's just really, can really take you to a lot of different places.
Music is medicine, I think.
Yeah. Just as much as like food and movement, all of those things, I think. I think music feeds like the spiritual, at least for me, the spiritual part of that.
It's also vibration. So, okay, this is gets heady, but um, you know how the I'm not myself a big Bible person, but I just referencing this because a lot of people know this reference. But at the beginning in the Bible, it says uh, God said something, right? I don't
So you said something.
said something. Well, the thing is if you think about what was really said, well, we don't know, but words are a vibration. Music is a vibration. Sound is a vibration. So there was a vibration that created something. We don't,
Right. That
whatever.
came
But I'm
right
just using that as an
somewhere.
example, right? And choirs learn how to use this vibration together in a way that goes straight through you.
Yeah.
It goes through all of your, and not just choirs, but orchestras and all music. But I happen to love a cappella choirs. But it just goes straight through all of your cells,
Yeah.
and it's just such a deep experience that you don't have to think about.
Yeah. Well, so Josh was on and we were talking about his sound lounge, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
just the vibrating like massage bed. Basically, it's like a detached bed that has um whatever in it, and you just listen to music and the vibrations go into your whole body. And I said sometimes I would be on that thing and I would just cry, and then sometimes my body would lift up and I'd feel like I could take over the world. Like it would just
Ah,
have, a lot of different feelings in there, but it was all the vibrations of that your body, every cell, your like the water in me was dancing or something like that, like
yeah.
literally from the inside. So it's pretty cool. All right, the last question. Who was the first person who believed in you?
So many examples come up for me, but my father. I'm adopted, and he saw me and had to have me, and that he recognized me somehow.
Yeah, he saw you.
Yeah,
That's
I was a
beautiful.
baby, but I think that has to have something to do with belief.
Yeah.
That baby should come home with me.
He had a connection to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Um, Before we end today, that I've loved this conversation. I always love talking with you. I feel like it just gives me a sense of peace and um, a calmness, and you just have this energy about you that I feel like brings that transfers over to me. Is there anything about coaching or friendships or relationships that we should have maybe mentioned or touched upon? Besides, everybody should have a coach, which I'm just going to say again. Everybody needs some kind of I feel like everyone needs someone to help them just even flush out ideas and work through things and ask them all the questions that you have asked me throughout the years that have helped me gain more clarity. not told me what to do, but asked me questions in a way that gave me a better understanding of what it is I was trying to accomplish.
Because I'm going to bring it back to relationships and friendships. What we didn't get to talk about, which is fine, but I do want to add is I think it's and this is part of coaching, the part of what so in coaching, particularly health coaching, you learn about how healing and necessary genuine relationships are in our life, and how that is part of the recipe for a life well lived, and meaning a joyful life, right? An
Yeah.
enriching and joyful life. So with that said, I'll say I've had to work on this myself, but I think it's been worth it, is to try and become more open. Maybe it's incrementally, not all at once, but more open to having to experiencing connection in whatever different setting you go to. So I'm not saying go out and try and force a connection.
Right.
I'm saying I'm inviting myself and you and whoever decides they want to hang out with this conversation for a while, to just be open. And for me, it was work. I had to work at being open to making connections wherever I would go. And for wherever I would go, that would mean, for me, the gym would mean Aikido, because I study Aikido. It would mean, like, where else do I go? I don't know. I go other places too. I have, spiritual communities. I have things I go to for my grandkids and whatnot. But it doesn't mean that I'm out to make friends everywhere, but to experience some genuine connection. And maybe it's something that we laugh over, that really,
Right.
like, that I find genuinely funny. And I just like, yeah, I'm going to laugh. But it doesn't always have to be friends that makes us feel not lonely or more connected. It just can be connections that happen spontaneously that make you feel good that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's such a good point because we're all, even when we're busy, right? We're out in the world and we're experiencing different things. And I think even taking that, you know, even as simple as like running errands or taking that into a space to just be kinder to the people that are around you, to recognize that you're all, for whatever reason, you all decided to show up to this store at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So just to even be more aware of being kinder to people that you're in close proximity with.
Yeah. Oh, and showing up instead of looking at my phone all the time.
Right.
I'm getting gas right now. Should I look at my phone or look at these people that are what should I look at?
Right.
You know?
Or just,
Yeah.
I like go grocery shopping and I see people that are like just really in a hurry and they're just rushing through and they're kind of like the other day someone like bumped into me from the back and I was like, "Oh," and it's just cuz they weren't like paying attention. And I just think even if when we're out in the world, even if we're not intentionally, like you said, trying to make friends, just being more aware of the community that we're in presently, that, the group of people that are surrounding you in that moment.
Well, you
Um,
go on walks with your family, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So even in that, I think that's a really good reminder to sort of look for those opportunities to engage in community in places that you might not have thought about it.
Yeah. That doesn't always take much effort. It just takes awareness.
Awareness, right? So what would we tell ourselves before we go out? What should we? Is there like, I don't know. I think we probably all could use some more deep breathing every morning, something like that. I really think having these little transition moments where we can take a deep breath from whatever we were doing to wherever we're going, just take even like a few, like 5 really good deep breaths just to transition into that next thing that we're doing would help us all maybe slow down and bring that awareness out even just a little bit.
So would help taking 5 deep breaths before you go on a walk help you be more aware of your environment as you're all walking together?
I think it would, because I think we're all juggling so many things in our mind all the time that even though I changed locations and we were in here doing this and now we're outside taking a walk, I think it's really important to let our brain know we're ending this thing and we're going on to something new, because I think that that's the first part of really being present in whatever that moment is. And what I have really come to understand is that being present in each moment is where the connection happens. If you're not present or you're thinking about something, even if you're there, but you're not on your phone, but your brain is rattling off the to-do list that you didn't get to or that's for tomorrow, what I've noticed, especially from being a mom, is that you will miss those little things that your kid, from like a kid's point, you'll miss those little things they do that are kind of funny or kind of quirky or in that moment, where they're like, Mom,
Yeah.
did you see this? I'm like, oh, I didn't see that,
Yeah, there's a lot of hilarity to be had with the little
Yeah.
children.
So I do think, even maybe, people would be better drivers if they just took like 5 deep breaths before they hit the gas and did that,
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. I think I will do that.
Yeah,
But
just
so
something
here's
to transition your brain into being more present in the next thing you're doing to really connect with whoever it is you're doing it with.
yeah, I like that because I think there's a lack of understanding of presence. And I say lack because I think people think about presence as being in meditation or being totally one with yourself or being all these, we live in California, right? So we have all these California terms for being present. And because I've done a lot of sports and things that are individual, not team sports, but I was an individual competitor when I was growing up. I now do Aikido as a martial art, and that's you have to work with somebody, but you have to be so aware of yourself. Um, that I'll say that in order to be more present, I've had to learn to have more of a balance because I can be so internal so quickly, so easily. I've had to learn that the value of splitting that attention with my environment. And then when you're with like little kids, it's all about the environment now, right? It's all about like something that's outside of you. And that's why it's hard to like you have to remind yourself, come back to yourself because you haven't had much time to check in with the internal. So presence, I think the best kind of presence is a balance of the internal and the external, being aware of your internal and being aware of the external. Not 100% of both, because
Right.
we don't have 200%, let's just say, but that we try and balance wherever we are. Like if I have had a day that's only in front of the computer and we're doing all this computer work and whatnot. Well, when I step out of my office, it's like if I stay there, my husband will come and scare me and scare the heebie-jeebies out of me. So I wasn't aware that he was around.
Right.
But the thing is that I have to take those 5 deep breaths and remind myself to come out of whatever state I was in and to balance
Right. So
and to
maybe those
be
deep breaths
present.
are bringing the awareness back into yourself so that you can then look around and say, okay, I'm whole and complete here. Now,
Now I can
now
balance
I can
what's out
be
here.
in heart, I also think balance is such a tricky word. I've started saying like in harmony with, because
Hmm.
sometimes, but that balance does work, right? So like balance of yourself and then of the outside. You're not juggling
And
like 50
just what you're
things.
aware of. Yeah,
Yeah.
your awareness, balancing awareness. But yeah, balance is a tricky word. I never think about it as static. I always think about it as balance and movement.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because it fluctuates,
Yeah.
Yeah, it does fluctuate.
It's not a scale it's not like a teeter-totter scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to really thank you for joining me in this. I think I am taking away that I am going to do these deep breaths even before I get in the car. And I think I think what you said really resonated with me, which is we can look for connection and community almost anywhere we are. It doesn't mean that these people have to be best friends, but I think if you look at everybody around you as part of your community, I think kindness comes out of that. And I think maybe we would all have better interactions with each other. And then from there, if there is a friendship to be had, maybe it would come out of that, or maybe that's some totally different thing. But at a basic level, everybody is part of some community outside, whether it's their neighborhood or where they shop all the time or anything like that. And so if we can bring better energy even into those situations, I think we'll have a better time. And I think the people around us will have a better experience. And I think at a very basic level, we're all looking for a better, kinder experience in life. At least I am anywhere I'm going. And that would, pay it forward in some way, I think.
It's beautiful. I like that.
Okay. Well, thank you again. Is there any...
Thank you for having me on. It was so much fun. And we've never really ever gotten to talk this long before in this way.
No,
So,
it's always been
I've had a
focused
blast.
on some crazy idea that I had where we're talking about that. So I really appreciate you. Have always been just a huge supporter of mine and a place where I can bring all these really big ideas, some of them that I hadn't fleshed out at all, some that I had, and you just always listened to all of them and really helped me work through a lot of things. So I just am very appreciative of you and our relationship. And I know that we will be working together for many, many years to come on probably lots of different projects and who knows what.
I love getting to be a part of your life. I love watching you grow and continue to blossom. And I feel really blessed by our relationship.
Thank you. Me too. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm sure that we will talk soon.
Okay. Yay.
Okay,
All
bye.
right. Talk to you later. Bye.
If this episode inspired you to reach out to someone or make a new connection, we would love to hear about it. Please send us a message or drop us a comment on our Instagram at Village in Progress Podcast, or you can drop a comment on our YouTube channel at Village in Progress Pod. And if you would like to hear more of our episodes, please subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe and follow wherever you listen and watch. From our village to yours, thank you so much for listening. Keep connecting, growing, and let's build something meaningful together. Talk to you next week.